Hey class, let's take a look at the warp stabilizer effect. This is a really cool effect that can be applied to some shaky footage and make it actually usable. There are some different attributes that we'll play around with, but a lot of times I'll leave it the same or I'll leave it normal. I'll make a couple changes depending on the clip that I'm working with. So let's go ahead and jump into Premiere and see what we can do. All right, so here we are. Remember this little clip here with this guy here up above? We trimmed this out a little bit earlier. Well, I see it's a little shaky, and I want to see about making that a little bit smoother. So let's make sure first off that we can see effects controls. So up here on the left side, instead of seeing the source monitor, we want to see effects controls. We also want to find our effects palette, and I don't see that out here. It might be over here next to libraries. Let's check it out. So if I expand this to the left, libraries history, if I look at this double arrow, oh, there it is. Look at that, effects, nice. So we're looking for warp stabilizer. Well, I'm going to go in here under the search bar and type warp, W-A-R-P. There you are. Warp stabilizer. And let's just drag it out onto our clip. And you can see it's analyzing in the background, okay? If I select my clip, and you can see it automatically pulls up effects controls, and I'm going to minimize motion for now, opacity, we don't need that. Let's look at warp stabilizer. It's automatically doing something here. Let's take a look at it. And it's done. You can see it punched in a little bit. So it was obviously not stable. Let's see what it looks like. That's actually not bad at all. That's pretty good. If I play this back at a quarter, be sure to watch out. Yeah, that looks good. Be sure to watch out for the edges. If something is really not stable, you'll get some like wave, watery looking warp, really weird like effects as if you're looking through a puddle. And that's not what we want either. That means it's either not going to be usable or you'll have to make some further adjustments. If that was the case, you could come in here where it says result. Let's take a look here. Instead of subspace warp, you might do position, scale, and rotation. You might change that. Smooth motion versus no motion. I usually leave it on smooth. You might adjust the smoothness. You might preserve scale or auto scale. But a lot of times what I'll do is if I've got a tougher clip to stabilize, I'll come down here to advanced. And I'll turn on detailed analysis. And it says here crop less, smooth more. I'm going to say I want this, I'm going to go to about 35%. So I definitely don't want it to be cropped in too much, but that's good there. And now you can see it's going to take a little bit longer to process because we are doing some more advanced things. But let's take a look and see how this turns out. Okay, you can see it punched in again, but let's take a look and see how it looks. Again, not too bad. You can see there's a little bit of wave warp right in there towards the end. But you know what? I think we can get away with that. So that's a quick way, a nice, easy way of using some stabilization. Now, ideally, you want to use a tripod, you want to use a stabilizer, a gimbal, a Steadicam, whenever possible, you want to have that camera stable on something that will help keep it stable. Handheld is definitely not ideal unless you've been doing it a lot and you're really skilled at it. There are many people that can do that. But if you are going handheld, I tend to put a warp stabilizer on there whenever you can to keep it nice and smooth. It makes your footage look really nice and clean. There are times you want shaky footage to add some effect, add some excitement or nervousness or whatever to whatever your film that you're working on. But for a lot of your corporate things, marketing, definitely want smooth footage, all right? All right. Use that effect whenever you need to, and I will see you in class.